What's good, YouTube? Cardfight King here. AQUA Life Baby. You already know how it is. And so today, guys, I wanted to do a deck profile of my brother's, long time updated Dragonic Overlord, the cross deck. Obviously, with my 2 cents into it. Now, personally, for me, he's not here, so I can't speak on behalf of him. I've been playtesting with this deck quite a bit recently, and we both wanted to see, how this deck does in the metagame in comparison to, counterpart the Legend. And, while I do enjoy the Legend's on-ride ability, I don't feel like the Legend offers me too much out of it. Now, I could tech in the Legend into this deck. I know Blacksuit suggests that, but I feel like running, Pure Cross is a little bit smoother. And, playing with both of these decks in comparison, personally for me, I feel like this deck offers me more options in order to attack and defend, to fight against my opponent with, in a sense. The cross being a really good Legion, on hit, I get to restand by dropping an Dragonic Overlord at the end. If I don't hit, discard a cross, kill 2, and even striding in this deck. This deck is definitely stride based, kind of like that deck. But the thing is that outside of striding, if I don't want to drop 2 cards to stride or whatnot, I feel like this deck I can build up a bit more advantage. I just feel a lot more comfortable, playing with this deck. If I can't stride or if I don't want to pay a heavy cost for striding, I have a Legion play and I can do things with that. Plus, again, both of these decks are really good at setting up the drop zone for the for burnouts and things like that. So overall, right now, I'm liking the cross better, but I want to know what you guys think between the Legend and the cross, and I'm going to show you guys this deck profile. Let's get into it. Alright, guys, so the starter I'm running is Lizard Hero Undo. Now, I do have another option to run, which is Saydig, and I go back and forth between both of them. Right now, I'm just running Undo. The reason why I'm running Undo is because, not only he goes and he fills a solo, but it allows me to search out any Dragonic, any Overlord pretty much from my deck and add it to my hand. That can be good in situations where, if you've ridden the end, you can put it and you stride, you can put him into the soul, search out another copy of the end, or search out that copy of the cross and re-ride. Or if you're, being a dick or whatever, you can, just attack with the end in a sense. But it's GB1, so it's a little bit slower. But I'm liking what he brings. Plus, he helps set up your ace plays too. Sometimes you might leave him on the board, and when you go into the ace, you can counterblast one, throw him to soul, search out that Overlord unique to your hand. And then, use the other 2 counterblasts to, do things with the ace. But I do like Saydig. Saydig for that early game, when you retire something, you can push him to soul your opponent, choose another card to retire it. So there's that. Trigger lineup is fairly simple. 4 heals. I'm running 5 draws and 7 crits. 4 copies of the Blade Master crit and 3 copies of Ray crit. The reason why I'm running 5 draws and 7 crits is because I feel like this deck still needs to be able to build up some more advantage in a way of hitting triggers a little bit more defensively. The 7-5 lineup I feel like is working fine. Targets to go into the soul and, fill the soul for burnout, whatnot. Seeing Gatling Claw early game, getting rid of those key starters is very important to me. Getting rid of those, Davids for Shadow Paladins, TikTok Worker, Chrono Dran for Gears, Andre if I'm playing against my Aqua Force, things like that. Just getting rid of those starters and preventing them from starting up and doing what they need to do is, pretty key in a way. But yeah, I think 7-5 is a really good lineup for this deck too. All right, and on to grade 1. All right, so grade 1, running 4 copies of Stride Enabler. Just need to stride. 4 copies of Conroe, Lizard General Conroe. Very good card in this deck. I will have to say myself. So what he does is when you call him to the board, you can reveal a grade 3 card, search your deck for a grade 3 for an Overlord added to your hand, then discard a card. So, you know, essentially a stride enabler thing. But his other ability is an active ability. You retire him from the rearguard circle, and whenever your Overlord Vanguard attacks, you get to unflip 2 damage. Very good card. Combos very nicely with the cross. You know, you just swing with the cross, unflip 2 damage. If it hits, you counterblast 2, discard the end, restand, attack again, unflip those 2 points of damage. You know, it just gives you that, you know, factor that you can do that skill like, you know, 3 times, you know, 2 times in a turn, you know, one restand, 2 restand. I mean, it's a very good card. I think so. I gotta double check on that, but it's just, you know, very good card. You got to run it at 4. Also, to get your end into the drop zone early, so you can search out your cross early game, I think is very important too. 4 Perfect Guard G's, got to unflip damage, and I'm running 2 copies of Calamity Tower. Reason why I'm running Calamity Tower, or, you know, we are running Calamity Tower, excuse me. Actually, Jared put this in the deck too. You know, Calamity Tower is pretty good for emptying the soul, for, you know, cleaning out the soul, put, you know, if you re-ride, Religion, whatever it is, and being able to draw a card, just getting that initial, I think it's a 0, you give one from here. It's a plus or a 0 in a way. It's just overall a pretty nice card. Yes, it kind of conflicts with Burnout, so you do have to watch out for that, but, you know, I think it's definitely a risk worth taking, especially early game. Call it out, get your draw, call something down to the board, attack. Overall, it's, you know, it's a pretty decent card. If there's other options, we're definitely considering running other options, but Calamity Tower has been working out pretty nicely for now. All right, and on to grade 2. All right, so for grade 2, my brother is running 3 copies of Dragonic Nadim. So what Nadim does is he has a Blaze. He has the Blaze ability, so it gives you Vanguard Blaze. Also, if you're in Blaze, he's an 11k attacker, which is 9 GB good. His GB ability is that if he hits and your Vanguard's in Blaze, then you get to unflip a damage. So, pretty nice pressure unit to countercharge. An 11k attacker by himself if you're in Blaze. Pretty decent card in itself. You could run Burning Horn here, but I think my brother wanted to go for the unflip pressure and the, you know, the difference between the 11, 12k. He wasn't really worried about unless you're using a 4k booster. Speaking on that, we're running 4 copies of Nahalem. Disgusting card. Anytime your Overlord Vanguard attacks, he gains 5,000 power. If you let the cross restand, if you're using the ace, whatever it is, he'll be 21k. Just a nasty card overall. Definitely a 4 of, and to me, all Overlord decks. And then a card that bumped up to 4, 4 copies of Dragonic Burnout. I love this card to death. Really good card. Set your drop zone up early with you know, by putting the end of the drop zone. Conroe can definitely help you set your drop zone up with that. You know, you can Conroe an end or whatever to drop zones, drop a burnout, kill something else. Very nice card. Over the Nadim. I thought about we could probably run Berserk Dragon, but you know, his Counterblast 2 thing is still quite heavy, but I think he's better in conjunction with Seydig. If I was running Seydig, I'd probably run Berserk Dragon in a sense, or I'd, you know, maybe tell him to do that. But again, it's all about figuring out which cards will interact with each other better and whatnot. So right now the grade 2 lineup, we like it pretty much. Could definitely use maybe these last 3 slots here could definitely be something. So if you guys are running something in place of that, not running the hand trap version, so don't ask. Let me know. And on to grade 3. Alright guys, so for grade 3, we have 4 copies of Dragonic Overlord, the end. On hit, Counterblast 2, Persona Blast, Restand. Very good card, guys, still. Very pressurizing card. Even if you have to ride him early game, if you ride him as your grade 3 ride, and you hit, and you have another copy of him in your hand, because your opponent's probably not going to guard it at grade 2, or they'll think about guarding it, maybe drop 2 cards or whatever. You hit, you get a restand if you have 2 damage unflipped. I mean, it's not a horrible card. It's just, I think, is past his time. But then when you combine him with the cross, then your opponent's going to start dropping cards and wanting to block it. The cross is a very good Legion to me still, guys. One of my favorite arts. This is probably this is my favorite Kagero deck, even though I'm not a Kagero player. This is my favorite Kagero deck. I enjoy playing with this. The cross's ability, you Legion when you Legion, you get to search out a copy of either the cross or the legend and add it to your hand. And if the attack did not hit, if the cross did not hit, he doesn't have to be in Legion. If the cross did not hit, you can counterblast 1, Persona Blast, and blow up 2 cards. Just an overall very nice card. Again, gives you options. Unlike running with the legend, he gives you an option to do if you can't stride or don't want to pay an expensive cost for striding. So I really like this card, guys. I really think this build is very fluid in a way. It's a little bit more fluid for me than the legend and whatnot. All right, and on to the stride. All right, guys. So for the stride zone, maybe more than usual, what you see, we're playing 1 copy of Screw. Screw's just good. 1 copy of Assault Orb. If your opponent has 4 or less rear guards, then he gets 5,000 shield. Very easy to achieve in Kagero. Shouldn't have a problem with him getting the extra 5k. 1 copy of Defeat Flare. Send 2 Overlords from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck, and when your opponent's Vanguard attacks your Overlord Vanguard, you pay that cost. Counterblast 1 as well, and you nuke their back row. So that's one thing your opponent definitely looks out for. As an AquaForce player, you definitely pay attention to the drop zone, see what they have in there. If they have 2 Overlords, Defeat Flare is live. 3 copies of Denial Griffin, still one of the nastiest G Guardians in the game. You guys know what it does. Counterblast 1, killing, attacking rear guard, just absolutely disgusting. 1 copy of Mustafa for that guaranteed snipe. Sometimes there's a card on the board like you didn't see your Galleon Claw, you didn't see such and such, and you need to get that Chrono Dran, the TikTok worker off board. This guy's very good to go into to guarantee a snipe off of that card during your main phase. Whereas Vortex is good, doesn't use counterblast because he uses the counterblast. He doesn't counterblast. He just attacks. You G flip a Titan, and if he hits, you blow up 2. You blow 2 cards, so you have 2 Flame Dragons in the heart. He's not as guaranteed, but that's against not really threatening starters or anything like that. But he's definitely a solid card to go into. If you go after you go into one of these, the other one becomes a flip target for Titan usually. Running 2 copies of Novell, pretty much one of your game enders. You just counterblast 1, your opponent cannot guard with grade 1s or higher, and if your opponent's at 5 damage, you nullify their trigger. So if they no guard at 5, then you win the game. Plain and simple. 2 copies of Dragonic Overlord, the Ace. Ace is just restanding, you restand, you counterblast, you activate counterblast to Persona Flip. He loses 1 draw check, and then at the end of the battle, he attacks opponent's Vanguard, discard an Overlord and another card, restand him, and he gains 5k. Pretty nice card, guys. Pretty nice card. Definitely a good card when your opponent's at 4 damage to pressure their hand, finish them off. Overall, just a solid card. Not something that, you really can see yourself using too many times in a game, but 2 should be generally enough. Living through a Novell and him, it's hard to do. And then 4 copies of Blade Master Titan. Titan's also it's probably the card that Kagero's needed. Definitely a great mid-game card. A card that can definitely end games. Your opponent, no guards at 4. Your opponent, no guards at 3. Check a crit. You put them in 6. Hopefully they don't heal on you. Overall, just a very nice card. Pop, has field control. Pops a card for each counterblast 1 flip, and you pop a card for each face of copy in your G zone of Titan. Overall, just a very good mid card, good late game card. Can help set up Novell plays, set up the Ace plays from his crit pressure and whatnot. Just overall, pretty solid card to use, and you go into him about 3 times in a way. So yeah, that's the deck profile, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I need to go do some schoolwork and whatnot, but I'm gonna take a nap first. So yeah. All right, Cardfight King, and I'm out. Peace. Set 9 is lit with AquaForce.